two things why we chose, most of us chose MPP is the credibility that JVP brings, which is not there anywhere. I can't see anywhere in Sri Lanka who has a system that that can eliminate corruption and reduce good governance. Because the interest of the people who work at JVP was very few. They wanted a better country, better life for everyone. That's the intention. But how to get there? Probably we would have need help. So that is why we joined hands and created this people's organization. So today, the collective learnings of JVP and the people who contributed, and also the collective learnings of the world of what has worked and what has not worked in the world. Today we are presenting a framework how do we get out of this hole. Right. So once I think since that you guys are also here, you are also aware that without changing the political culture, we are not going to fix into any promises. Right? You can take the route of US, you can take a route of Vietnam, you can take a route of South Korea or Singapore. Nothing is going to work with this political system. That is number one. So I need to make it very clear that is the first problem we have to solve. And then all of you can contribute how to fix the country, and even you ask individuals, you know what needs to fix, right? So that is not a big question. But when it comes to governing the country and getting to this power, we also need to do policies and how we work around it. So we have come up with a framework. So today what we are going to show you is our current knowledge and how do we think it can be better. And while you also becoming part of this journey, there might be better ideas of how to fix it, and there might be areas which we don't have enough clarity to answer you today. So we collectively make this happen, right? So the whole purpose of the economic transformation for us is to how to build a resilient economy. What we mean by a resilient economy is we know that world is very much connected. We supply to the world, and world consumes things that we are sending, and we consume things the world is producing. And when the world shakes in economic turmoils, some countries suffer. Some countries suffer badly, some countries suffer little. So a resilient economy, if you have a resilient economy, the countries which have a resilient economy will not suffer much as we did during 2008 or neither 2021. So there are countries that withstand the shocks, like the likes of India continue to grow, like of South Korea continue to grow, like of Vietnam continue to grow, like of Indonesia, likes of Brazil, and likes of South Africa, right? So they have figured out a way how do you connect with the world while ensuring your people are protected in every circumstance. That is the meaning of a resilient economy, right? So in order to get there, before we get how to fix this, we need to all understand and have appreciation of the problem that we have, the gravity of the problem we are in, and the root causes of it. So our solutions will counter that problem, right? So basically, we have been digging ourselves into great hole, and we have also put spikes and thorns inside that. Now we are asking ourselves, can we get out of it soon? Right? So first of all, this is not what Gotabaya Rajapaksa did. I need you to clear your mind now with me for a while. This is not something Gotabaya Rajapaksa alone did. This was a time bomb that got exploded. Right? There was a time bomb set in Sri Lanka, and it exploded at the ruling of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Right? That is what happened. So if you basically trade, most countries is dependent on their trade deficit. Right? So trade deficit is something that will allow you to create reserves where you can consume things from importing, and you earn the dollars for those imports to exports. Right? So if you have more exports and less imports, you create a surplus every year. Right? So what has happened to Sri Lanka is, for the longest period, we have widened this trade gap. That means we send 12 billion worth of goods and we import 20 billion worth of goods. So there's an 8 billion gap that has got widened over the period of time. So how did we finance that? We financed that through our service income. There were two service incomes that were keeping us afloat. What was that? One from tourism. We got a net revenue of about 2.5 billion or 3 billion. Net means tourism income can be 4 billion, but since the inputs to sustain tourism these imports, our net becomes 3 billion or 2.5 billion. And we had sent the most less privileged society to work in Middle East, and our children, our youth who had no skills, who was not given skills, to work in the most deteriorated working conditions in developed nations or developing nations like South Korea and all. So we were getting 6 billion out of that. We were getting 2 billion out of tourism, and we were managing this approach. And what happened with COVID is we lost the export income and tourism, especially tourism. And we lost remittances due to that economic decision that we all agree that we held the exchange rate at 200 and it crashed. So at the same time, in 2020, from 2020, we were supposed to pay back our loans. Until that, we had a grace period, right? So that is why this flowed up and we came into a standstill, right? So it was not something that only happened in 2021. It was something that happened over the period of time. So this trade deficit is a big problem for us. And how do you overcome that in that sense? And the second is, so no country can provide all citizens with their needs and wants through market. So there are non-market driven services and goods people consume like public services, security, administration. So the government needs to fund it. And those funding generally are gathered through the means of government revenue. So government has a fiscal policy. So there's a budget, that means there's an income and there's an expenditure. So there's recurrent expenditure and capital expenditure. Capital expenditure is for growth and recurrent expenditure to sustain the society. So every country uses tax as a means of supplying. But in our country, what happened was the taxes that we collected was not enough to finance our budget because we did not collect the taxes according to the tax law we had. Right? We had a progressive tax law, we had income taxes, we had indirect taxes, and we had special taxes, but we were not able to collect these, especially due to mismanagement and corruption. If we had collected according to economic theory, that is about 15% minimum of the GDP, we would have been not in this mess. Current government expenditure is 11 trillion. Current government income is 4 trillion. Now we are asking, if NPP comes to power, how would you fix it? Is it fair to ask this? Right? In the sense, right? We have to go a big transformation, one side to reduce cost and other side to improve revenue. Now all of a sudden we are saying, let's improve the tax base and collect revenue, which we have not done for 30 years. It's going to take time. Whether it's Ranil Wickremesinghe who is going to do it or NPP is going to do it, it's going to take time. Right? But again, this problem is eroding the capital in the market. Why? The government is borrowing to finance this. So it will keep aggregating the problem. Right? So currently our recurrent expenditure, now this is also a myth in the society that our government is too big. Yes, from number of people it's too big. We agree. 1.3 billion is not that what we require. We really utilize and make it efficient. We don't need this much of people. The reason that there was so much of people in the government sector was because we could grow the economy. Now there was no opportunity for people who are coming out of university. Since the kids are on streets, government what they did was they hired all the arts graduates and the graduates who cannot find jobs into trade. Right? So now it's loaded. Now we need a transformation period from now on how to make it better, but you need to understand the core problem is if the economy is not generating enough opportunity, releasing this card, restructuring this, redeploying them is also going to be very tough. So big problem is expansion of the economy. And then when it comes to the expenditure I was trying to explain is even though we had a high number of people, our current salary bill in the government is 1.1 trillion. 1.1 trillion. Whereas our total expenditure is 11 trillion, including repayment of loan. We have an interest component which is due to mismanagement is 3.7 billion. Now our salary bill is 1 billion, our interest bill is 2.7 billion. Right? Our capital expenditure is 1.4 billion. Both together does not cover the interest portion. So when someone says our solution is to shrink the government fast, it's also not going to make a big dent in the problem. Right? But when it comes to our revenue, early we were used, what we got last year was 2.8 trillion worth of revenue by squeezing everything. Now we are going to squeeze more and try to get 4.1 trillion. Now that is probably, I will have a tax experts here also, that is probably the maximum one can deal for. But the reality is, more you tax the society, the consumption will reduce, the disposable income will reduce, savings will reduce, and it will further shrink the economy. So the ability to extract tax out of this system is going to get worse and worse. Right? Last year they planned 3.2 trillion, only got 2.8 trillion because we dropped from 76 billion GDP to 71 billion GDP. Now this year it will further shrink because businesses are closing down, consumption is reducing, savings are becoming less, people are leaving the country. I think it will be about 68 billion. So this collection of tax as a percentage of GDP is going to be a mythological impact. Then, in countries when we are developing, most of the countries in the world, if you can even now check even in Singapore, there is a certain first portion of non-tax revenue. Why? Because the economy is not big enough to finance the whole thing. So therefore, governments hold on to certain amount of assets which can generate them tax revenue. So it's counterproductive at this point for us to sell off everything we have. We agree that certain things might need to be sold off, but selling everything that generates revenue is counterproductive. Why? At this point last year, after we adjust the tax, after we adjust the market prices, CPC is making profit. After we make market adjustment, CEB's losses down to 20 billion. 20 billion. Right? But we still trying to sell it off. SLT, yes, it needs a capital infusion. It doesn't mean we should lose the 15 billion that it generates. It doesn't mean we should need to sell off Litro and lose the current revenue that we are. It doesn't mean we need to sell off insurance corporation only to lose 10 billion that we are generating. It doesn't mean for us to sell off Bank of Ceylon and People's Bank at this point and lose the recurrent revenue that government has. So last year, after this restructure, the whole SOE portfolio is generating 330 billion profit. It doesn't mean that 330 billion comes to the government revenue, government treasury. It only gives about 250 billion. But letting that go at this point is counterproductive. One. And if you make them efficient and if you allow them to grow, if you do it purposefully in the real competition, we might be able to get a better. So this problem is not easy. I'm just trying to explain. And then the foreign debt, right? Since we had a trade deficit continuously, since we had to invest a lot of our infrastructure, we had to obtain foreign loan. But did these foreign loans increase our exports? No. Did this investment we got improve our human skill, human capital? No. Did it improve our health? No. So then there has been some level of mismanagement of these funds and misappropriation of these funds into the right places of the economy. Therefore, this 43 billion that we have borrowed has not yielded us the right result so that we can repay back. But this is the current situation. We have bilateral, multilateral, and ITC. Since there has been a lot of conversation around NPV and ISD, ISDS is market holding, right? Bilateral deals you get from different countries and we can negotiate it, but then we have to give portion of our body to them on the negotiation. That's what's happening, right? So you negotiate with India, they say don't pay us, but give us free. Right? China will say, okay, we'll wait for a while, give us this. Right? Somebody might say, okay, don't pay us so much, but I have Adani, can you give the energy? So that is how the bilateral is happening. It's division, right? But the multilateral, there is no option, we have to pay. Because we have taken multilateral lenders are from multiple countries. That's a common fund, they are getting IMF, ADB, all that. We can't stop it, we have to keep paying. Right? But the ISPs are market that we have got. The lender was aware that you are investing in a corrupt, undergrown, defaultable country. I'm giving you a very simple example. In US, if you had 10 billion worth of dollars, if you invest in the US market, how much you would take? 3%. 4.5%. So they decided we'll take additional risk and we invest in countries which are going to bankrupt. Well, if they invest in Singapore, they might get about 3.5%. If they invest in Australia, they will get about probably 3.7%. But if they invest in Pakistan, if they invest in Sri Lanka, if they invest in Uganda, the risk is high, so you get a higher advantage. That's why Sri Lanka got these interest rates at 7.7%. And with the economic stars of the country, like Harsha De Silva and Tariq Singh and Ravi Kaba, the economists in the world has warned developing nations not to go through this path because it's going to put you into bankruptcy because the lending is not mapped to development. If the lending was mapped to development, that 7% could have been yielded and repaid. They only look at how they can recover their capital and the interest. So therefore, what I am saying is we are not naive to say that we don't pay. But what we said was we will play at the least priority, and which already has happened. Now we have not paid ISP since 2021. So it's not Sunila Mutati saying it or NPP saying it. Already we all as the economy agreed, let's pay it when the country is stable. That's a all stable. But it's a big thing. Now think about this 43 billion. How many years would it take us to pay? So do you want to get out of this debt? Because you can't just pay this back without taking other loans and all those. Say that we pay 4 billion a year. We pay 4 billion a year. Where is that money going? Unless you fix this, the trade deficit, right? Unless you fix the trade deficit, unless you improve your exports, unless you try to reduce the import requirement, you won't get a surplus deficit. So our only solution at this point is to improve our exports and try to reduce the portion of imports. There's no other solution. There's no other solution. You can get a little bit of loans and try to survive the year for election, but country is not going to get fixed. So this is the gravity of the problem behind. And there is another problem that we have. It's not that we have grown individually. My family, my father's family, my father's grandfather's family is three different eras. Our income levels have grown. Our lifestyles have grown. We have got developed. But that is through economic growth which is not sustainable, which is not equitable. The wealth that we create today and we have created over the past period, 30% of this wealth moves into 1% of our population. The 50% of the poorest of this country has only 4% of the wealth that we generate. Now that is the problem, is to say some people can't eat, some people can't go to schools, some people can't survive the day. So then, is it possible for us to pull back the subsidies now? Is it an option even? It's not an option. Because we are collectively now responsible for the mess that we create. So the income inequality, if we can't bridge this in our next economic transformation, we will be in the same position one few years later. Why? If we can even take this the 70 billion GDP to 100 billion by a growth plan, if that growth plan is not inducing development and distribution of wealth, we will have the same problem in other countries. The last issue is the contraction of economy that I just explained and you will know. The economy is contracting, therefore income sources we used to have is also shrinking. That is why people are thinking, is it worthwhile to stay in this country anymore? Or is it worthwhile to resettle ourselves in somewhere else? So this is the gravity of the problem behind. Now if you have to talk about solutions, everyone in the room and everybody outside first has to admit this was a created problem, man-made problems, and the same people who created this problem is now asking us another mandate to fix it. So we have a wrong economic policy that's been followed since 1977. I'm not saying one was before was the way to go. 77. And we have a rule by one class which use three parties to come in front of us and small portion of businessmen who control this. So if we feel that they are going to fix it in a better way with whatever the reforms they are going to do, it's not going to happen. Inefficiency. So first is competitiveness. So you need to allow this to come and establish. So we as a entity allow that to make it a democratic economic system. Not because you know somebody in the government, not because just your family had a license for 100 years, you need to bid every year. You need to bid it transparently and we will ensure that access. Right? And then the transparency is. Now, do we know how the value addition takes place? The one that I was explaining. So transparent. So therefore, the world is asking for transparency. Most of you know about blockchain today. The whole world is asking for transparency. They want to know how much water was used, how much environmental damage was done, where it was produced, and all that they want to know before they consume, especially the Europe. In a small country which we are doing, we don't know the price where the paddy was purchased. We don't know how it was filled to the bowl and how much the price is now. Transparency is not there. So as a government, we will ensure transparency so that it becomes more competitive. So the consumer can decide fairly and also other competitors can also come in. This is not for the premium goods. We don't mind about cars and bikes and all those fancy things that you consume. This is about essential goods and services. Okay? And then the efficiency, as you said. Sri Lanka is a small country producing enough food for us to consume. But farmer is poor and the consumers are dying. Why is it problem? Because the market is not organized. Everywhere you go in the world, even in US, the strongest sector in agriculture is the cooperatives. Why? Individuals can't make fair decisions, efficient decisions. You collect the farmers together into a cooperative. This is not owned by government prices, right? So don't get this and say this is wrong, we are government. We are not going to do it. We will ensure there is farm cooperatives. And we will ensure there is cooperative banks. So they finance their things daily and ensure there is transparent process, efficient process from producer to the house. Why do you go to buy dal from sugar? I would choose which dal is good. Why do you waste your time? Why do you pay a premium? Why? Should we come to the dock and get it redistributed with the market?
That's again quality.
That's a very quality issue and also a cost issue. Now, our farmers borrow money to farm. What happens? Cost of capital goes into cost of production. The person who purchases from the farmer also borrows an overdraft from the bank, and that is at 29%. And he has another cost of capital to the rice that we do. Then the distributor also runs on a rolling cash flow with finance by cash. I'm not saying banks as a problem, but what we are eating, 20% of that is good capital cost. But this can be made efficient. This can be made transparent. And we can have a good life farmers as well as that. So we are very much there to make this market efficient and transparent and competitive. You use two things. One is regulation. Currently, it is not there. No regulation is taking place in a fair. They take down one shop, they don't take down the other thing. They take down on one importer because they don't like the person, they will allow one person to produce. So it's not for that. So regulation, currently we have good regulations. Globally, if you take different countries and great regulation, we will bring that in where the government is not part of the process. Right? And when you are organizing the market, you need to use all four vehicles of business: government, private, cooperatives, and strategic business. So let's not have too much of debate on this. The government responsibility or government intervention in market is only for those essential production inputs, that is energy, fuel, telecommunication, and transportation, right? Why we don't believe nothing happened in the world where the private competition can give the lowest cost to the industry. And we will also intervene in places where the market is not efficient. So we won't take off also. We won't take off also because that market is not so efficient. But when we are a developed nation, when we have $50,000 in our each one's account, maybe yes, but it's not efficient. So places where essential goods are inefficient and oligopolies and monopolies are working, government in favor to induce competition, not to take the monopoly of it, but to be playing a part of portion. Right? That is the only reason why SOEs will be there. Right? There is another reason I told you already. Some SOEs can generate revenue which we can't get from tax. Right? And then the whole growth that I told about, we need the world and production, all that we will have by private investments, no problem at all. Right? But we will ensure the private investment succeed. And also, there will be strategic investments where the private sector, neither the government has money to do. So if you want to go to green energy, we don't have enough funds. Let's call on for Sri Lanka, but I don't know how much that will be. But then there will be good partnerships that need to make. So it can't be non-sustainability. It can't be overnight deciding Adani should take it. It's not overnight we can say that our renewable energy can be sold. What do you mean by renewable energy? Energy. So it continues to come. It's people's money. Sri Lanka has a renewable energy capacity of 16 times the requirement of Sri Lanka by 2050. Right? And the money that can be generated should come with speed. Right? So we might need strategic investment that as a finance, not as an owner of the source. Yes, we can reform CEB. CEB needs to be broken down, which is generation, distribution, and transmission. But generation can be handed over to some private businesses to operate and for them to make a cartel one day. Can we allow the transmission to be some private? Can you allow the people who has money to consume energy and deprive people of using energy? You can't. Yes, distribution is okay. You can have equivalence and all that. You can. But those two, the generation and the transmission, the government. CPC, they are not saying they are going to throw away sign of ECO, we are going to ask IOG to go. No, we will make CPC efficient. We will make CPC work hard and be competitive with this 30% mark. Why? When CPC is taken out, what happens? They will make a cartel and they are doing rupee business in Sri Lanka. When they do rupee business in Sri Lanka, what happens? The rupee will. Right? So this is how we would start. So in a nutshell, this is what it is, but I can go into each of the sectors like, what is the production plan, how we are going to make it, how we are going to make the government efficient, what do you mean by globally connected to the world and all those. So there are a few more slides, but I will pause it. I'm going to pause here and take anything that's specific also to the things that I said and things that we want to kind of list. So that probably with that I can build up one or more slides to kind of, but very simply we are going to follow the growth trajectory of the countries which has succeeded after 1950. Right? That is very clear. So don't try to equate us to Russia or to Cuba. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of things you can learn from those countries, creating a better society, better humans. That's what left means. Fair society, equitable society, right? A cultural society. That's what we learn. But when it comes to economic growth, there's a lot to learn from the countries which grow very recently, and the experience of China, and the experience of Indonesia, right? So Sri Lankan apparel sector is struggling now due to productivity. So Nike we supply, Nice Garments in Thailand also supplies Nice. So now Nice Garment has a fully fledged industry food factory, which comes in hangars and highly productive food and productive areas. And will be funded the government of Thailand. China transformed during COVID their manufacturing in garment field and improved productivity by 30%. The government was giving them 3% rules by the state-owned development banks. They even fund us also, right? So they would have funded their own country. Right? We had two development banks now in India. The NDP and the DFC. You have the name, you have commercial banks. They are not funding development. So how do you get low cost capital? State has to play a role. If anyone wants to learn about Brazil, learn about South Africa, learn about Vietnam, how they fund this. So these are well read, well researched, and there are economists, alternative economists, who are talking about this development economy. And that is the only reason we don't go by this very simple narrative of state becoming small and state doing police and administration can grow a nation. That is the only reason we gave that narrative of neoliberalism. Right? Neoliberalism basically says state has nothing to do with the market will make it itself. It has not happened in India as well. It has worked for development nations, yeah, maybe. But today UK is struggling because their energy sector is completely private, whereas the Europe energy sector, I'll just give you an example here. So this is how it looks. So Sweden, one of the largest producers of electricity in Europe, so it gives green energy to Europe, 100% owned by the government. Government is not over to over entering over the right. So let's make this is owned by state. That means people of that country, right? Norway, the largest producer of renewable energy in Norway is SOE. Switzerland, France, they took over the 14% which was there in private last year, right? And Vietnam and Korea. So Korea has a 51 state, but it's fully controlled under government over 3 generation distribution and transmission. So what I'm trying to say is we have to learn what's true in the world. What we have been taught is a propaganda. I have learned economics in school. I have learned economics in SEMA. I have learned economics in CFA. I have learned economics in my university in Gujarat. But none of them taught me about development economics. None of those curriculums has this. Secret of growth. Secret of growth now is private entrepreneurship, FDIs, national plan, state supporting production input. That's it. And obviously regulation comes in. There is no free market. Government decides what's free. Government decides what's free. Some people talk about free trade. There's no free trade in the world. It's a myth. Governments decide what to come in. Governments decide what. The US, the Europe, when they developed, they had about 27% of trade barriers for their industry. After they got developed, they are saying, no, you guys can't do it. You should not do it. Right? So the Indias and the Vietnams and the Koreas are doing it funny. They're saying, okay, we'll open it, but we have political issues. You're bringing anything to our country, it has to get this standard. So nothing cheap gets done. So therefore the local industry and they are also saying we are not putting the barriers forever. They are saying we are going to put the barrier 10%, 15%, 10 years. we tell the World Trade Organization, and we support our local industry to improve productivity so that you can remove slowly this in a gradual way. But this year, March, we are going to lose everything that we produce here because we are going to open the plant. You can remove protection in a transformative, gradual manner rather than killing beings. So what I'm trying to say is that not to learn for all of us. So that's what we have to kind of share with you in terms of summary because we have not enough time, but in terms of half a day I'll comment and explain all these things. But any questions you would like to take?